All right, y'all. So I'm going to show you something to where you can do this during the season to keep the shoulder healthy. Because that's one thing we didn't really talk about. Like, what do you do during the season? So, prepared your tissues for up to it. So the main thing I think with y'all is going to be that you want to keep working that internal rotation. So we talked a little bit about like when you're playing volleyball, any kind of overhead athlete kind of has a whipping motion, your body's going to naturally give you more ER, but it's going to take away IR over time. And Lauren, that's one of the main reasons I think that shoulder started to get kind of like irritated or inflamed and bothering you is because you were losing that internal rotation, which is the normal function of the shoulder. So with that being said, I think that should be the main focal point of this season as far as to keep the shoulder healthy is to keep attacking that internal rotation. Now, when you're in season, it's going to look a little different than it would when you're preparing the tissue in off season. So in off season route, we were building a lot of strength so they could withstand a lot of force. Your shoulder is going to be seeing a lot of force when you're playing your sport. Okay, so ideally you want to really recover. So with that being said, these sessions are going to be to maintain what we've worked on and gained, but also you will be able to gain a little range because you're spending a lot of time and attention in the stretch. But what I'm getting at is we're not going to do it at 100% max effort. So kind of how I showed y'all how to do that. This one is going to be done. I want you to do 3 different shoulder positions, which I'm about to show. And you're going to do it, just kind of ramp up to a good solid contraction, but nothing crazy hard. Maybe like 40, 50%. 60 is fine too, but again, just not all out. So ideally, arm's going to be stacked, wrist and shoulder level. And then I had y'all kind of pull your arm out. And I was kind of coming by making sure your scap's still. What we're going to do to make sure that scap really stays put is we're actually just going to come straight over top of the shoulder. So your body is going to be straight over top. So we're not going to really pull it out. You don't want to be like crazy pinched in either. But again, as long as you're like straight over top, that's going to keep the shoulder blade down a lot better. Okay. So from there, I've got a straight 90-degree angle right off the shoulder with the elbow. And then the elbow is going to be bent at 90 as well. So now from here, you can take this hand. You can do it like this if you want to, but I like to do it like this. I've got the scap blocked so we won't see it raise up, right? And I'm just going to keep turning into internal rotation until I feel a really good stretch. So for me, right there, I feel a lot of tension on that lateral posterior part of the shoulder back here, and that's what we're looking for. You might notice you won't have as much range as if you had it pulled out like this. And that's good because it's just going to keep you a little more honest and a little more strict. So when you do this and you get into that position, okay, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do isometric contractions both ways. So you're going to push up into your hand for like 10 seconds. And then remember, push that elbow on the ground to create that torque. And give me like a 10-second contraction. Again, doesn't have to be 100%, like 40 to 60%. Relax it and then try to drive down, away, this bottom hand away from the top hand. Okay, hold that contraction like as if you're going to arm wrestle a ghost. And then you'll relax. And then you want to make sure that you get a little deeper. And then you want to pull yourself into that range more. So once you contract and then relax, you should feel like the tension in the shoulder releases a little bit. And then push it down more to get even more tension. Okay, hold that for a little bit. And then same thing, repeat the contraction one more time. Now, because we're not doing it as hard, we can do this. We can add a little more volume. So you would do it from this position, okay, here. And then I'm going to get you to do it from here with your arm down a little bit, so your elbow down. Same thing. I want to stay stacked right over top of my shoulder. Let's keep that shoulder blade down, and then I'll wind it up the same way. Right there, I feel a lot of tension. That's my in range. Same thing. I'm going to have a contraction pushing up, contraction pushing down, and then go a little deeper, and then repeat the process. And then I want y'all to do it from a little more shoulder flexion too. So here was the neutral one that we started at. We're going to put you up here like this. Same thing. I'm still going to stay stacked over top. And then now from here, I can work a good honest rep as well. I can feel it right there a lot. And then same thing. Just make sure that scapula is not hiking up. And again, being over top of it like that's definitely going to help. That's what I want y'all to do during the season. I would say 3 times a week, you could even get away because we're not doing it that hard 5 times a week, Monday through Friday, before you go to bed, just in the floor, hit that real quick. That's what I do a lot to keep my shoulder internal rotation healthy. But yeah, that's going to be the game plan. As far as ER, like the weighted stuff we did this way, that was to prepare your tissue for that kind of whipping and all the force that's going to be coming into the shoulder in ER during the season. So you're already getting that when you're hitting. But because, again, when you're hitting like this, the function, you're telling the shoulder to pull into this, but you're not really doing any of this. So that's why you lose that over time. So that's the game plan. I think if you do that and then follow it up with some cars, and y'all remember those, just the big circles, trying to use that range. After you stretch, give me 1 or 2 of those and should stay pretty healthy.